All right, today we are reviewing OBA or Olivine or Olivine's Boutique and Antiques. I, first things first, love the aesthetic of this closet. I love all the butterflies. I just think it's very like trendy. I like the rose gold. You can tell that you spent some time really making these banners. Honestly, it's very visually appealing. Just scrolling through originally and looking at all of your items. A lot of these photos, especially these like brooch photos, literally look professional. So I was really excited to see some of that. Just again, overall looks like a pretty cohesive closet. What I wanted to go into was the about section. So I did take some time scrolling through the about section. And I noticed that this about us paragraph is just that, a paragraph. It is quite a bit to read, and just to really keep track of. Honestly, I had to read through it a couple of times just to be able to really understand what was going on what day. I think we could streamline this a little bit more, and just say like, welcome to my boutique. You could say that new items are going up kind of every day. Let me know if you have any questions, if there's any specific sizing you have, like let me know. I'm open to helping with things like that. I like this keep checking back. Thousands of items are here and going up daily. The thing that I kind of got hung up on was this listing schedule. To be honest, just full transparency, you told me to be direct. The harsher the better, that you wanted the advice. I found a lot of this pretty confusing. Most shoppers on eBay aren't going to have the availability or the want to get on daily as new items are listed. Most of them are just going to check your store maybe once or twice a week to follow those options. And honestly, I can't see much of a benefit as far as listing certain things on certain days. I just think that might be a little bit too much for buyers to follow. If you wanted to do something like this, you could definitely create like a newsletter to have and add that, keep it outside of your About Us, and just really give the buyers a chance to just shop if that's what they're looking for. But I did like that you seem to be open to trying a lot of different things as far as ways to get sales. I did notice that in the questionnaire that you gave us, you told us that you were only selling currently on one platform because you wanted the ability to really just focus on one and not have your hands in a whole lot of pots, essentially. This to me seems like a lot of different pots. I would just set live, or your listing set live and move on every day rather than focusing on each day being a specific category. Overall though, like I said, I love that you still have these really cool in-depth photos. You'll see me referencing my notes quite a bit here. This is just to help me keep track of where we're at. You will receive this paper with all of my notes, as well as obviously this video, to help with any corrections. If you have any questions, feel free to shoot us an email following to let us know if there's anything you need clarification on. Let's talk about the photos. So I'm going to go back to your shopping link, and I'm just going to go ahead and go to all items so we can just see just the items. And I'm going to go ahead and filter this to newly listed so that we get most of your new items. I don't ever feel like it's really fair to judge somebody based on an older item, just because, let's be honest, if you search our closet, you're probably going to find things that we're not super proud of, changes that we had made, so on and so forth. So we're starting with the new. Overall, just scrolling, you can tell your photos are done really well. They all take up the majority of the frame. The coloring is very good on them, and you can tell that you use a white background or at least do a background removal in the process. There are a couple that you can see where it kind of, the background removal kind of ate into the clothing piece, but honestly, that's pretty rare. Most of them look pretty top-notch. I did go into a few specific items, and we're going to talk about those today. I like that you include so many different photos of each one. You have a front photo, you have a waist photo, you have so many, honestly, different options for what's available, like a hip measurement, the thigh, you've got the bottom of the thigh, I like that you include photos of all the flaws that you have, if there are any flaws, just so buyers really have a good idea of what they're getting in its entirety. Let's look at this Adidas one. Same thing applies. You've taken photos of all the details. I like that, again, as a buyer, they really 100% know what they're getting, what they're purchasing, what the items are made of, and again, have all the options for what that actual item is. We'll click through this last one here as well, just to show all the YouTube viewers exactly what your closet looks like. You do a really good job at showing all of the close-ups for photos. Background's clear, well captured. I think that those look pretty good. What we're going to talk about now is going to be the titles. So overall, your titles seem to be very close to the item. Just looking through them, you can tell that you're including some of the style names. I noticed some Adidas ones on the main store that had like the Climalite. Yeah, Climalite here. Clima 365. You could tell that you're really taking care of getting those style numbers in, or style names in. And that way the buyer knows for sure what they're getting and can kind of make an educated guess on whether they want to make that purchase or not. As far as each title, I did go ahead and copy your title over and then kind of compared it to ours, or what I would put. The first one here, we have Fila black with gray stripe athletic basketball shorts, size extra large with pockets. This was a total of 70 characters. Just letting you know, this athletic was spelled incorrectly and it's still listed like that currently. So you might want to make that correction. If I were going to list that, I might put Fila men's athletic basketball shorts, size extra large, black gray, pull-on elastic waist. Just more to describe the item versus just saying that it has pockets and using things like the W slash. Those are essentially 4 other characters you could have used other places. I would also almost call these Fila shorts, instead of being a stripe, I would almost call them as like a color block, because it's not like a thin stripe. It's like a whole chunk of the side. And I would maybe even list that as like a color block if you had that as an option. Into the Adidas, you put Adidas men's gray polka dot with black and white stripes, basketball shorts, size large. Again, I would change this up a little bit. Adidas men's athletic basketball shorts, size large, gray, polka dot, pull on, elastic. This would get you to 76 characters. And then the last one I did was these Ralph Lauren men's denim blue jeans. There were some changes and some things I wanted to really mention about this listing. One of which is most Polo Ralph Lauren jeans have a style number inside the zipper right here. And these, it didn't look like you had taken a photo of it. That's where their style numbers are. I would recommend going back and looking to see if there is a style name. So I wasn't able to fully do this listing, but I did change a couple things. You had it as Ralph Lauren, 100% cotton, authentic dungarees, polo denim blue jeans, size 38-32. I put this as Polo Ralph Lauren men's. I put this 867 classic fit in. That's what these look like. Obviously, I don't know for sure because I'm not touching them or holding them, but I would put the style number in there, as well as what that style is. Jeans, size 38-32, blue denim, straight leg. You could do whiskered. You could do, a variety of different keywords at the end. I didn't count how many characters this was because it's going to depend on how many characters you have with the style name. But I would definitely make those changes. I would also make sure that you put this polo in the beginning, just because Polo Ralph Lauren is a different line than just the regular Ralph Lauren. Overall, though, let's go into the actual listings. Looking through them, I can tell that you have quite a bit of information. When I scrolled to the bottom here, you filled out pretty much every checkbox that you could. I love these descriptions that you have. I love that you not only really go into all the details and put them in your listing here, but you again have the photos. I also like that you have a flaws and a fabric care section. But most of all, I really love this last blurb here where you talk about the buyers comparing the measurements to another flat lay item that they have. I like that you say that you take up photos, take a lot of photos close because you know that measurements are critical. I like that you mention that photos and the lighting can sometimes distort coloration. That you're willing to answer, any expectations or any questions. You want to make sure you meet all of those. And that clothing may become wrinkled just from shipment by fold and ship methods. 30-day free return policy with no questions, no hassles. Initial ship expenses not refunded. I wish I might actually steal this. I might put something like that in our listings just because, though it should be common sense that the money was already spent for them to get the original item, a lot of times buyers get upset because they don't get that initial ship back. So I thought that was really interesting as well, and that you put that you do not have any restock fees, which I just thought was interesting. I had never even, I guess, thought about anybody charging restock fees, but I'm assuming that because you put that is a thing. I did have one question about this. You have 30-day return policy with no questions, no hassles. But up here, when you go to shipping and returns, it says 14-day return. So it looks like most of your listings are set to a 14-day return by eBay's policies versus the 30 days that you're allowing. So I just want to make sure that I let you know about that, because you want to make sure that this is also set to 30 days, because otherwise they're going to go to return it and they're not going to be able to return it. So I wanted to let you know. But other than that, looks like you have a couple different options for shipping. You've got your first class. You even allow pickup if you've got anybody local that would like to pick up. Handling time is within 2 business days. So it seems like you ship pretty fast. I went through the same thing with your Adidas shorts. Same rules apply. The only thing I really saw on here was the returns of 14 days. But again, it looked like you did check most of the boxes down here at the bottom, and you have all the same information. And same thing goes along with these Polo Ralph Lauren pants. The only thing I noticed on here is that you have them labeled as Lauren Ralph Lauren when they are just Polo Ralph Lauren. So you definitely, again, want to change that. Ralph Lauren, Polo Ralph Lauren, Lauren Ralph Lauren, Chaps Ralph Lauren are all different. And I would make sure that you have that cohesively in all of your listings. Same thing here, 14-day return policy. And then shipping, it looks like you did USPS parcel select ground. You could also offer a padded flat rate option, which I believe is like $9.30 or $9.60. So it might give you a little bit of a cheaper shipping option, that you can, again, get the packages from the post office as well. But honestly, all your listing details look really good. So I was excited for those. As far as buyer demand, I went through and looked up sell-through rate. For the Fila shorts, there were 50 used available and 5 had sold. So if this was me, I would not have picked those up to sell. For the Adidas, there were 579 used available and there were 224 sold. Again, probably not something that I would pick up, only because they don't have 100% sell-through rate, and that's our model. I'm not sure exactly what your model would be, just based on the auctions and stuff that you're doing. I don't know if you're just trying to do like a quick flip, but maybe you have a different model than what we currently use. My biggest concern is that when you have something that is lower buyer demand, you typically have to sell less than what you would if they had 100% sell-through rate, because essentially you have to be like the bottom dollar for people to purchase. And I am kind of concerned that you might get stuck with quite a few of these items. Plus, I'm not sure where your cost of goods are on these. I feel like you're going to have to sell quite a few of these items for fairly cheap, just to be able to get them out of the gate, and you might end up might be cutting into your profit at the very end. Again, the Ralph Lauren or Polo Ralph Lauren jeans, I could not evaluate buyer demand on those. just because I don't know the style. I know I comped some recently and I would have been able to pick them up, except our Goodwill currently wanted way more than what we were going to be able to purchase them for, because we can only flip those typically for like $30 to $35, based on the ones I was looking at. And they wanted like almost $10 for them. So for us, it wouldn't have been a good enough variance for us to be willing to pick those up. Overall percentages, you had 463 items listed in your store. You had sold 66 in the last 3 months. Divide that by 3, leaves you for 22 a month. That means 4.75% of your items are currently selling. We would have to consider other platforms. I do know that right now you said that this is the only platform that you're currently on. You wanted to focus on that. Average goal for most resellers is to sell about 10% of your items each month. So pricing for your Fila shorts, you have them priced at $6.50. If I was pricing with market, I would price about about $6. Again, you do want to keep in mind that because the sell-through rate is so low, you might have to drop below the rest of the market value. Otherwise, you might be one that gets stuck with that item. Adidas, you had priced at $9. If I was pricing with value, I would have marked it at $15. Again, $9's probably not bad because of the sell-through rate. You probably will sell those at $9. And then the Lauren Ralph Lauren, you had marked at $28. Depending on the style number, I would say between $30 to $40, just depending on exactly what that style number is. And I think once you look that up, you'll be able to make a pretty good determination, but I feel like $28 is pretty reasonable. As far as feedback goes, we will scroll back up here. Feedback, you have 100% positive feedback. I believe there were 24 positive feedback. Looking through these, everything I saw was mostly about good deals and really the item being as described. It looks like those that picked up the items were really happy with exactly what they got, and knowing that they could purchase it, they felt good about it. Everything was in the condition, arrived exactly as expected. So I thought that was really good. Last thing I wanted to discuss with you is consistency. So when you filled out the questionnaire, you originally put that you were looking to list 5 items each day. Over the last, 3, 6, 8 days, I just looked over how many items you were listing. This does not include if any of those sold. But it looks like you are very scattered on how many you're listing each day. Today, which I know the day's not over, you've listed 4. And then yesterday, 30, the day before, 22, the 19th, 4, the 18th, 5, the 17th, 43, so on and so forth. So it seems like you have a couple solid days. And then it seems like there's some days where you're just not feeling it or maybe don't have time. Looks like the 19th, 18th, and 19th was a Thursday, Friday. I was just going to look to see what you had going on in your store on Thursdays and Fridays. So Thursdays, it says jewelry if it's raining. Friday, costume jewelry. So maybe you just didn't have a whole lot to list on those days. But it is something that I just found kind of odd, that you had some days where you were consistently listing quite a bit, and then you had days where you could tell that you maybe didn't have a whole lot to list or just weren't feeling it. Remember that you can choose to schedule your items. So if you want to get ahead and do some in advance, you're able to do so. It would also help you on days where you're saying it's raining, so I have to do jewelry. If you just committed to scheduling ahead, you could have some extras to list on the days where it's raining, where you wouldn't have to switch over to just doing jewelry inside as well. I also thought it was interesting that you put that if the sun is out, you're photographing and listing. I just, again, found that kind of interesting. because I would plan on, I guess, listing every day, or again, having that scheduled. I'm not sure if you're doing your photos outside or what that setup looks like, or where you're at. I think you were in Washington, but I believe it rains quite a bit in Washington, so you might want to look at having an indoor space, or somewhere that you can be covered, where you can consistently take photos, or even take photos to get ahead. As far as takeaways, the biggest thing I can see is more consistency. I would make the page look a little bit more user-friendly in this chunk here, just so that they really understand. You may even be able to create like a store policy on the different like new items, something along those lines, to just, again, make it a little bit more user-friendly. But other than that, I think you're off to a really good start with your store. And I think that if you make a couple small tweaks, get your store in a more consistent manner, that I think you'll have some pretty good options for really increasing your sales. So thank you to OBA. We appreciate you letting us review your store, and we look forward to the next one. I hope you enjoyed this video, and Olivine, I hope that we were able to help you. Have a good one.